for like just do a little vampy vamp for a little bit because we want to let people in and give them a chance to kind of settle in for the night. But I should we're recording, but this part won't make it to the finished thing. But is there anything that we don't want to talk about? Is there like a off
Ooh,
off limits sort of thing?
let's just pick
If
something.
you want to speak in code, and or you could also just deflect, be like, I don't want to talk about that. Uh,
Moving on.
we could just pivot the whole night. Nobody answer any questions. Just be like, I think I want to pass on that one.
Pivot. Yeah.
Pivot,
One
pivot.
hour long improv. I
Yeah.
am ready.
What is that
Yes,
game? Zip,
and
zap, zop. We're just gonna zip, zap, zop each other for a whole hour. Um, but I mean, do we want to talk about optioning stuff? Like that seems like a fun kind of conversation that could be
sure.
had.
Never.
I mean, V, you just dropped it, so I feel like it's kind of in the forefront of my mind.
Well,
But
how are you feeling? Double.
about optioning stuff,
No, you've got two noms, babe.
I feel anxious. I feel a little bit of anxiety, and I feel like, it's like I just want it to be a good thing, a positive thing, but it's really hard not to think about it. Like like I'm gonna as the next 3 months progress, I'm just gonna think about it like a little.
You're gonna become more weird and
I mean, like it's
More weird.
more weird.
weirder.
Weirder.
You'll
Do you
be
guys
like, "What's up
want
with that guy? What's up with him?" You'll be like,
to? With that
"Oh,
guy?
He
award."
got two nominations.
I just don't want to become an asshole. Like I just like
Actually, I
we
think that'd be a good pivot for you.
yeah.
All of a sudden,
He used
have
to
you
be
talked to
weird, but
Clay?
he's like such a
Yeah,
jerk now.
major
Well, you know what I
dick.
did when I got nominated twice and didn't win?
What?
I ran back to my hotel room, cried, and threw my Gucci purse against the wall.
Uh, I
I gotta get a Gucci purse.
we just throw
Yeah,
Gucci purchase.
I think I'm on. I think this is my like seventh nomination or sixth. I've never won,
Oh,
so
gee.
but
I,
just rack up the award seals.
Yeah.
yeah.
Guys, let's do a show. I mean, we're kind of doing the show.
Let's
Yeah,
We
do
should
I
it.
just say
know. I was
this is
like,
a part of the
I
show.
know, like this is the kind of stuff people like. Like, oh wow, they're
Has anyone
actually
has
weird.
anyone said anything that they're afraid to have out there on the public
No.
record? Um, all right, well then let's do boom. Hey everybody, my name is Clay McLeod Chapman tonight, and we have a maxi pad fun night for you.
Pivot,
Pivot,
pivot.
pivot, zip, zap, zap.
Pivot.
Who wants to do it? We have so many people on tonight's Fearmongers, and it's my fault because too many amazing books came out this month, and I was reading a lot of books. I was seeing a lot of people doing book events, and I was like, oh, I want to talk to Saratoga. Oh, I want to talk to Chris. Like it just became a thing. So I have no one to blame but myself for tonight being a jam-packed, fun night of amazing spooky books. And I'm going to list off all of our attendees because tomorrow, as of this recording on February 24th, we have none other than the author of DOLLFACE, Lindy Ryan. Lindy, how are you doing?
So Clay, I am so good. I am so
Yeah.
good. I'm so nervous for tomorrow,
I mean, this
actually.
is like the calm before the storm. Are you feeling a little, how are you feeling? What's going on?
I always feel a little um I feel extra today. No, I'm actually really, really excited. Dollface, like I wrote Dollface before I wrote Another Fine Mess. So this book has been ready to go for a long time, and
Oh
she's
my
just
God.
now coming out tomorrow. So it feels like the end of an era, but I am woefully late on my next book. So that's what I'm stressing out about right now.
An end of an era of waiting patiently? Like I'm really curious. Like, was it that Fine Mess kind of like stepped in and was like, "Oh, we have to have this sequel now, now, now," and like put a
Yeah.
pause button on Dollface?
Yeah, exactly like that. Because when I sold Bless Your Heart, we sold it as a two-book deal. And then I pitched Dollface, and then I pitched a sequel, and they said, well, we want both. And then it was a we don't know which one we want next. So I wrote Dollface. That's where the muse went.
Yeah.
And then my editor was like, surprise, actually, write this one. But the other Mind Mess was a sequel, so it had world, it had characters, it was easier to slide back into.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got you before the big day tomorrow. So by the time that this is online and for all to listen to, the dust will have settled. You will be you will be a totally different person. So I'm
I
glad we
will.
got
I'll
you.
be changed forever. I'm gonna cut my hair. I'm gonna do all these different things.
No lie, when I was putting together this list of folks for February, the first person I knew I wanted was the author of Maria the Wanted.
Because
You like what I did there?
I'll
V.
always bring the
Castro!
strangeness. Hi. We always have a good time when we're together.
Oh my God. Well,
It's always fun.
I don't want to dox you, but you're in New York right now. You flew over to wait, are you here? Are you in Chicago? Where are
I'm
you? Are
still,
you
yeah, exactly. Where's Castro? So I am in Chicago. I fly to New York tomorrow at 8, but
Oh
I
my
fly
God.
to Cleveland and then I have a 3-hour layover. And then I get to LaGuardia at 3, so I could be at the Twisted Spine with Nat Cassidy for 6 or 7.
Oh
I
my
don't
God.
know.
Okay, so I'm going to this event, but can you tell me now, like, do you think you're actually gonna make it? Like, is this happening? Real talk
Mm,
here.
I don't, it's like, it's kind of like publishing. It's like, I don't know. Who knows?
That is a lot
Um,
of that's a lot of bang 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 like a lot of hopping puddle jumping
yeah,
there.
and then like you, then heading down to AuthorCon. Chris, are you going to AuthorCon?
Yes.
All right, so it's a party already. So
Yes. I got my fireball.
Oh,
So,
little hands, where
goodness,
are the little
you're
hands, Chris?
oh,
pivot,
what are you
Chris.
talking about? What are you talking about, little hands? You guys? Seriously. I mean,
No.
what?
See, this is the
What?
problem. This is why I usually have just a few spare couple on here because never invite Chris Little Hands Panatier onto your list. I was going to save you for last, but you kind of jumped the
No, no,
line.
no, 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 no. I
No,
didn't.
no, no. It's too late now.
V
I hope
pivoted to
you're
me.
happy with
That was a
yourself.
pivot.
That was a
That was the
pivot.
pivot. This guy, Chris Panatier, has a novel coming out on the 26th,
Yeah, Thursday.
Thursday. Everybody else has their books coming on the Tuesday,
That's
but
right.
you're like, you know what? We're gonna shake things up a little bit. I'm gonna put DAYTIDE out on a Thursday.
I didn't decide to do that. Mitch, who runs Rapture Publishing, did, but it's how these limited edition ones. Those guys don't play by any rules.
Yeah, yeah.
They do their own thing. They exist in their own world. Release dates are very liquid. They're very fluid. So, yeah, it's coming out Thursday. It'll be
Yeah.
around. We'll have copies at AuthorCon. Yeah.
Oh, that'll be
It's
fun.
this. It's
There you go.
this book
It
with the
is that
little
book.
That's
David
beautiful.
Bowie, little David Bowie angel on there.
It is a gorgeous book,
Love
and
her.
I do kind of want to pay lip service to Rapture Publishing because and I'm going to ask the question now. Forgive me,
Hmm.
Saratoga. Blame Chris, but like the packaging for the arcs for DAYTIDE in particular
Hmm.
was in of itself a work of art
Yeah.
that I do believe needs to be kind of called out and maybe can you give us a very kind of brief explanation for what the heck you did
Yeah.
to get the
It's
word
right
out?
here. It's right here. I'm gonna get it.
Dun, 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 dun.
Well,
Let's see.
in this book, turpentine features heavily. It is a medium that allows certain people to pass through the firmament. And so we made a turpentine can to put out the arcs, which slide out the side. And that is the book slip we made. So I, this is a 350 numbered, series. It's 350 books. And we made 40 of these. Like I drove to Tulsa and cut holes in the side of turpentine can blanks, designed the label, and then we put the book in the side of it. And because we were like, hey, how do you get people to want to film and take pictures of their arcs? Rapture is tiny. This is their first novel. And so I had this idea. I was like, let's make a turpentine can and take a picture of it. And
I love it.
Mitch, who owns Rapture, he goes, why don't we just send the books out in turpentine cans? And I was like, that can't be done. But that's what we did. So that's the turpentine can.
Pivot to Mitch. Always
Yeah.
blame Mitch. That
Yep.
is a good way
Yeah.
to get word out. It is a beautiful, beautiful book. And the
Thanks.
novel itself is okay. But
Yeah, thanks.
whew,
Appreciate that.
that turpentine can.
Yeah.
You didn't even mention
Very
the
cool.
feather, the little feather. And
Yeah, so we didn't do it on this one, but because this was a prototype, but when people unscrewed it, we had literally there's a feather glued inside. So yeah, we did it all. We went all out and we did the same thing on the final edition. The boards are like
Oh,
gorgeous. It's like
wow.
a
Wow.
foil and fabric, and it's got end papers. I did all the illustrations.
Oh.
And yeah, so it's like super pretty. So thanks for letting me show it off.
Simon and Schuster is going to be like doing diesel can arcs next year, and we're all going to be like,
Yeah.
I don't
We're gonna be
know,
like
seems a little familiar there.
no, Rapture is one guy in a closet in Tulsa. No lie. He runs it out of his closet. He has two kids who are like big hockey fans and they're like all over. And so Mitch is in his closet, being a publisher in his closet, and he made this. It's pretty amazing.
Amazing. I would be remiss to not introduce our last guest for the night, but I feel kind of comfortable knowing that a million people already know Saratoga Schaefer because Saratoga Schaefer landed on what, 51 on the USA Today bestseller list this previous week for Tradwife. So I could have introduced you like at 10:59 tonight, and people would just be like, yeah, Saratoga, we know. How you doing,
I don't know.
Saratoga?
I don't know if I'm quite at that level yet, but thank you. That's very kind. I'm good. I am, just a couple weeks off of the release of Tradwife, so I have absolutely no time to really enjoy it because I have two other books coming out this year that I am now dealing with. So I am going right back into the machine again.
Yeah, that's a that's a choice. And I'm curious, like, having three books released in one year, it's two novels, correct?
Yeah, so three novels. So
Just three straight
Tradwife,
up novels.
yeah, Tradwife, The Last Time We Drowned, which is a thriller, and then A Thousand Monstrous Forms, which is another horror.
So at what point is it that you say three books this year, guys, I'm gonna do it? Or was it a publisher being like, we're pushing this one back or we're moving this one forward? Like what was the kind of schematic of your year, and when did you realize that that you were jamming, traffic jamming?
Yeah, so I'm kind of like the baby author in this scenario because my debut came out last March, so it hasn't even been a full year yet. And then it just kind of happened this way where Serial Killer Support Group was my debut, but it was the seventh book I wrote, and then I wrote it in 2022, and I'm kind of a fast drafter, so I average like two books a year. So I just had this backlog by the time it came out, and I was just sort of throwing things around, and it just worked this way. And my agent last year was like, hey, are you sure you could do this? And I was like, yeah. And now it's kind of like when I bought my house and was like, yeah, we're gonna renovate this ourselves, and didn't know what I was getting into. And now I'm like, oh, I really didn't understand like what I was doing and how much work this was gonna be, while I also work full time 9 to 5 as well. So it's been very
Oh my
interesting, but
God.
we'll see. Hopefully I can survive the year.
And you've been on tour, like you've been traveling, like this is like, have you been taking days off from 9 to 5, or are you somehow doing
Uh
both at the same time?
yeah, I'm somehow doing both at the same time. Like I took off
Oh, good.
for pub day, and then I took off, my birthday was Friday, so I took off then as well. But otherwise no, I'm just doing all of my writing stuff like early in the morning or after 5 o'clock basically, and just
Yeah.
slamming slamming forward with it.
Happy birthday. Thank you for spending it
Oh,
with
thank you.
us. This
Of
is actually a
course.
surprise birthday party for you as
Yeah,
Trish
yeah.
has the candle and the cake. I you did bring up something that I do want to kind of ask, and you can answer it or pivot. It's totally fine. But like you mentioned that your agent was like asked the question of like, are you sure you want to do this? And I heard that, and I'm saying to myself, oh, that's such a sweet thing for an agent to ask, because I don't know, geez, I don't know if I have someone in my life who asks, like, are you sure you want to do this? And my first question to kind of pose for the panel, and we'll start with you, Saratoga, because you brought it up, like self-care, like artistic care within the realm of publishing. Like, like the best of us, the most successful of us have teams, like people who are constantly checking in and like, this is the timetable, this is your publishing schedule. But for us mere mortals, we're kind of left to our own devices. So I'm curious, like, what are your what is your team? Who is your team? And what kind of like protective shell do you feel like you have within the scope and scale of your career? Or is there anyone who does that?
Yeah, I mean, so definitely my agent is amazing. Amy is fantastic. And then because I'm now working with two different publishers, I have two different editors and two different kind of publishing teams. That has been amazing so far. But besides that, it's kind of just me because I am like emerging, so I don't have like, I don't know, a third party publicist. I am my publicist. I am a publicist for classical musicians in my day job, which has translated quite nicely to being my own publicist, even though it's a little exhausting. And then I also have a background in marketing and I have a background in social media management. So I kind of came like a fully formed team for myself, which is nice, but exhausting. So self care is definitely something that I feel like I need to be better at. Um, but yeah, a lot of it is just me being kind of an intense, like all hands on deck, let's do this all at once and try to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I have a team and they're fantastic. I just also need to be better about like sitting and staring at the wall for 5 minutes and not doing anything. And it's just it's a learning experience. So we'll say that.
As a social media manager, publicist, PR person, like I would imagine it would be difficult to let go of certain kind of responsibilities and kind of giving that over to someone else. So, yeah. Lindy, I'm curious, like you're constantly juggling, like beyond your own novels, you're editing anthology after anthology. Like I mean, like I'm not mistaken. Is it one a year or does it go more? Like, is it two a year?
For anthology, like, well, I mean, I had a 5 book year. I think it was 2023 or
Good
2024. We'll
Lord.
never do that again. No one ever do that. That's crazy. Um, but yeah, usually it's 1 book a year and one anthology a year.
Okay.
And then I teach full time. I'm a professor by day, and so that's really busy. And then editing anthologies is like herding cats, all of you, all the time. And we may have a special announcement dropping tomorrow, just FYI, on a new anthology. But yeah, it's impossible. I think it's really impossible to kind of give equal attention and stand on top of everything at once. And so it took me a few years to wisen up to it, but I finally hired an external publicity company to manage me, not not necessarily everything else, but keep Lindy on track because I am not good at navigating anything on my own. So I definitely need a team to poke me and prod me and with a cattle prod, buzz me in the right direction. I mean, I head on tour tomorrow at 6 a.m.
Oh my
and
God.
I'll see you when I see you. Because I don't know the order of any of my stops. I just go where I'm told and I show up and I hope that I remember what I'm supposed to be doing there. But I think having that team and having that downtime and that self-care or that voice of sanity in your ear that says, Lindy, no, we're not doing 5 books again this year, is really important and really helpful for everybody. It doesn't matter where you are in your career, how new or how much long you've been around, like having that voice of reason and grounding, I think is really important for everybody. So
Yeah. And is that
definitely.
voice of reason external, internal? Is it a little bit of both? Like, like is there a friendly agent, angel on your shoulder?
It's definitely not my agent. I love my agent to death. She's been my agent for almost a decade, ever since I was writing made for TV romance movies. But she's like she's the she's the demon on the shoulder who's like, write another screenplay, do another anthology, write something else because you get an idea and you get excited and you want to start writing it and start working on it. You want to move it to the top of the line when you're already working on 10 other things. So, and then I have my partner who's usually the voice of reason. He's like, Lindy, you should go to sleep at some point this week and also take a shower and feed yourself. So, but I'm getting a new service dog in April. So I'll probably be a little bit more normal come fall.
Um, I think author service dogs would be kind of a boon. I want I I feel like taking mine to events would be a kind of a boon. Um, Chris, I want to ask you the question now because I feel like I'm seeing Mitch at Rapture Publishing in his closet, but I also see you kind of enabling him. I think you're the devil on his shoulder to kind of like, I've got a table saw, I've got a bandsaw, we can cut into those turpentine cans. We can do it, Mitch. We can do it. Is there someone, because you are also having a 2 book year this year. Like not only is it DAYTIDE, but by September we're going to get Worry Box. So like who's going to tell you stop?
I mean, my wife very kindly asks me to stop, but it's mostly so I just like stop bugging her because I just am always like buzzing around and I think that that's the undiagnosed ADHD probably, which my friend Gemma Amore d she talked about it once and she said that she was working with her son in the UK and she's talked about this on podcasts and stuff and a doctor there said that ADHD shouldn't be described as a deficit of attention but a surplus of focus. And when I heard that, I was like, oh, I know that guy. And that's me. And so it's actually like I have the ability to like pivot. There's our magical word for today, like pivot and attack and pivot and attack and pivot and attack. And that's been very useful as, Saratoga mentioned being sort of emerging. I'm, my first book came out in 2020 and DAYTIDE is my fifth, but I still feel very new. And now more projects are coming along and um, I'm kind of enjoying that because I'll like work on my novel that is due for 2027, but then I have to put it down to do an anthology story or something like that, or I'm working on another novel with another author. And that is so far, it's fine because I love it so much. Uh, I think if I didn't love it, it would be much more of a drag. And yeah, sometimes like the promotion I'm like, I don't know, does this really do anything? Right? Like, I think we all probably go, am I spinning my wheels on this when I should be just writing? Is it really moving books? Is it really getting eyes on the page? I think, for the most part, you're getting some more eyes on your books by doing social media and promotional stuff. I mean, but I do all my own for the most part. My trade publisher is Angry Robot. They're great, but they're a mid-sized publisher. They don't have massive marketing. So I do most of that on my own. And I've gotten pretty used to it. When it comes time for a book to come out, I probably grind my teeth at night. I think I have a guard I bought over here, like that I have to like boil in water and like put in my mouth. So yeah, I mean it gets to me
Yeah.
sometimes.
I feel like, the times that we've talked about this, one of the things that we kind of come back to a lot is the notion of community, the notion of, whether you have a team or not, there are the kind of your fellow authors who are kind of in it as well. And I feel like you more than most have spoken to the notion of, you know, we need to elevate. We need to kind of like, you know, if we're not kind of there for each other, we're, you know, what's the point? And I want to ask the same question, but I kind of want to open it a little bit in terms of like if like who is your team, and do you find that other authors kind of provide themselves or lend themselves to that, or are we all just out here chasing our tails, kind of like reaching for the same crumbs?
Yeah, I mean, I think, Chris talked about Gemma, and like Gemma lives in the UK and she's my bestie, and she just came over to my house like before last week, because last week was a whole week where our children were off school. So I have three children. One is in university, but I still have two at home that I co-parent. And so she brought her son over, and we just basically like drank Prosecco out of a Prosecco dispenser and just like, you know, did our little gossip, cried a little bit, and then talk shop. And that is really helpful. That, talking about those experiences and, well, what do you think about this? Or bouncing ideas off of each other, and kind of what's happening behind the scenes, because it can feel incredibly lonely and isolating. Because when you write a book, you're doing it unless you're editing an anthology, but for the most part, you're on your own. Like your partner isn't writing it, there's no one else unless you're co-writing it, but most of the time it's just you and your ideas, your thoughts, eventually your editor. But when you're starting a new project or thinking about something, um, but also I think it's important with community to, if you are thinking about going to a publisher, or say you are looking for an agent, or to just talk about that. Because hey, information I think is really important. You don't want to get caught with a publisher who's not going to pay, or maybe an agent that isn't going to fully be there or might be too busy. But just to get a little support. Oh, sorry, I'm with my mom and she's like cooking. She's making me frijoles.
Oh,
Um,
hey, mom.
and so, for me, I'm a one person team, on top of being a mom. But I don't have a day job. This is my full-time job. So to a certain extent, I take it very seriously. And so, um, and community is also important, because as a woman of color, as a writer of color, you learn that you're not always going to be on the top of every list or everyone's list. You're not always going to be the one who shines. I mean, you say, let me ask you this. How many Latino science fiction writers can you name? How
Oh,
many Latino horror writers can you name? Is it on one
many.
hand or two hands? How many of those books have you read? How many have you reviewed, So as a BIPOC writer, for us, community is even more important. I mean, look at what Sinners, and people coming and really standing behind Coogler and the team. I mean, for me, it's just like wonderful to see. I'm like, yes, get it, get it. Um, because for so long, I think Ryan was like the first Black um man to win a BAFTA in his category. It's
Mhm.
2026. And so it goes even deeper for me. And I know the same for other BIPOC writers. So when we get together, we talk about those things, because we've all had really shared not so nice experiences. And yes, there are a lot of writers who are not BIPOC that can empathize and are there and supportive, but it's not the same, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, well then I'm curious, and I'm going to open this up to everybody. Like in terms of community and self-care, in terms of like being writers, because what I'm hearing from a lot of you is that like the kind of the solitary notion of writing the novel, and then the kind of blitzkrieg of promoting the novel, and then coming out the other side of whatever kind of touring or travel that either your publisher or you put together. Like, when all is said and done, it happens, and then it's over, and then you are at the other end of this juggernaut of emotion and creativity, and then it's you're kind of looking at it in the rearview mirror, and you say to yourself, what just happened? And so I want to lean into the idea of community and self-care, and say, if I want to ask, like, do we feel as if there is enough of a community? And do we wonder if there's ways, like, are there suggestions that we can throw on the table tonight, in terms of kind of making it feel more supportive of one another? Like, what are the thoughts and suggestions that we might have to say, hey, I know I could really use a phone call every so often, or a text or a DM from someone just to check in. Like what I've asked the question, I'm going to ask it again. What do we think the community could provide, should provide, can provide for us as fellow authors?
I mean, I think you know that it's kind of like, I don't know, cheesy and cliche, but your vibe is your tribe. I think you just find the people who you vibe with and are supportive, and you can chat, and I mean, you know, you know what I mean, Clay. You had someone who we on threads that I didn't like their tone, and I was just like, this guy's a cool guy and super supportive, like, and for me, I think you just find your people, and we all have busy lives, we all have families, we have all this and that, but I think it just all kind of happens naturally. I know, my friendships with you guys at AuthorCon, it's always so natural, so fun. It's just like, yes, it's bookish, and you're meeting the readers, but it also is just like, yeah, there's a nice camaraderie. And I think it just kind of flows naturally when you meet those people that you vibe with. I don't know. I don't overthink it. I just think it's like, oh yeah, you're cool. I wanna support you. And I don't know.
Five is your tribe.
I think that's exactly right. I mean, if you can put yourself around other writers, and just for a day or two even, I find that it really kind of recharges the battery, and
Mm.
I leave those types of events like ready to go, like juiced up, ready to dive into the next thing, or super excited about the next thing. And it doesn't take much. It just takes that little bit of interaction and contact with other people that are kind of fighting the same thing you are, and you go, okay, I'm going to go back into the wild, and our trails will meet again, and you just look forward to the next time, and that really does keep me going. That's massive. And things like AuthorCon, StokerCon, the other smaller events that are around, where we can just hang out for a little bit, and you know, some bitch about the same stuff.
No, I think you're both 100% right. I love book events, and I love meeting readers and librarians and booksellers. But my favorite part of larger book events, multi-author book events, is seeing my friends, and getting to
Mhm.
spend time. I mean, Clay, we were at Dark Ink together a few months ago, and we had like this little brief conversation, maybe 2 minutes, when the signing was done, and it was like the battery goes whoop, just because we just sat there and complained together. For just a couple of minutes. And then Clay, we were at, was it Horror on the Rappahannock last summer
Yep.
together? And just seeing friendly faces,
Yeah.
being able to talk shop, complain about the same things, rejoice in the same things. Today, all this, the Stoker ballot came out, right? And all we've done
Mhm.
all day long is celebrate our friends, and lift each other up. And I think that's what really community is. And I love seeing all my horror besties, each and every single one of you. So I think that's the community is really important. I think we also have to remember to reach out and take it, to ask for it, to be present. It's really hard for me sometimes to be the one to pick up the phone or write the email and saying, "Hey, I want a conversation." But every time I do, the other person on the other side is ready and there. So I think we have to remember to ask when we need that community too, and not to reach out, because we're all here waiting, I think, to support each other.
So hard to ask. Like, it's basically like saying, I need something. Like, I want this. and it's so tough. Like to I don't know if it's like a giving oneself permission, but like it just seems like okay, like I'm gonna pick up the phone or I'm gonna reach out.
I have a strategy for that.
Okay.
Voice notes. Okay. So you bring up your little text thing and you send a voice note. And that is like, no, there's no obligation. You just send a little voice note. You say, "Hi, I love you. I hope everything's going okay." And then when they get around to sending you a voice note back, they send it back. It's kind of like leaving a, voicemail, but no one checks that anymore. So this is just a very convenient way to do it. And there's a few people that I exchange voice notes with very casually that like every now and then I get one and I'm like, oh, yay. And I wait until I'm in the car and then I play it in the car. And so voice notes, everybody. That's the advice.
I love it. You're all getting voice notes from me
Yeah,
later. No.
absolutely. Just send those voice notes.
This is our Slack chat. Saratoga, what do you think? Do you have any suggestions for community building?
I feel like I'm learning a lot from this because so before I was published, I didn't really have any writing community at all. I have my agent siblings who are fantastic, but there really is, I mean, echoing what everyone else has said, there is really something to be said for those in-person meetups and connections. And every time I have done something that's an event that involves meeting readers or meeting other authors, it's just like you've said, it's the battery whoop, goes right back up. And that's really, really invaluable. And I think my dream is now that we create some kind of a dating app, but for writers who are like looking for writer best friends, because that's what I need in my life. Like, and then we could be paired up with people who are geographically close. Because I think something that sucks for me, at least, with like meeting all these fantastic people is being like, oh, I love you. Oh, you live 900 miles away from me, and I can't have like just little chill like tea gatherings with you. I have to see you once a year if I'm lucky. And I think that in-person connection is so crucial. And I like many people have a very complicated relationship with social media. And while it can be helpful in keeping us connected to each other, that in-person IRL is so important. And I am personally craving that right now. So I am just looking for like someone who's like 40 minutes away who I can just be like, great, now we're best friends and we're gonna talk shit and do whatever we want to do and write together, and it's gonna be fantastic.
Um,
I I have to say I love that because nothing infuriates me more than constantly seeing pictures of my friends who live near each other. And I'm specifically talking about you, Clay, and Nat and Rachel. And I'm like, my friends, I want to see my friends. And it's I'm off on the other side of the world and never get to see anybody. So I second Saratoga's
but I mean,
horror dating up.
the dating app needs to happen for sure. But I would say like that what has been interesting about the last couple of years is the kind of like the touring cycle, like the cycle of like conventions or mini conventions or reading conventions. We're all, we've some of us have kind of spoken about AuthorCon, which is actually happening this week, StokerCon, Horror on the Hudson, Horror on the Rappahannock. Like, there's so many of these kind of places, and like Saratoga, I remember meeting you at Horror on the Hudson, and just being like, "Hey, like, oh my God, that's Saratoga!" Like, it's like all of a sudden, it's like these like destination points or these little map points, that whether it happens in an annual cycle, monthly cycle, these conventions or these events tend to be like, oh my God, I get to see Lindy this weekend. And like that's my check-in. So basically we just need to live on the road is what I'm suggesting. That's my contribution for the night. Um Guys, it's already we've been doing this for 40 minutes and I haven't talked a lot about your books. So I need to do this now for fear that I won't get to it. But I want to talk, about the kind of synchronicity of these four. And in my mind, something that I was kind of thinking about is the kind of elasticity of subgenres, like niche, like stories, and how I believe Dollface, Maria the Wanted, Trad Wife, Daytide. They are, on their surface, you could say, it's a book about a demon baby. It's a book about, vampires, slashers, whatever Chris is doing. Like, these books have something that, like, on their surface, like the log line, the pitch, whatever you want to call it. But then you read the book, and it's how you bend the subgenre to your particular writerly authorial agenda to tell the story that you all have wanted to tell. That is so fascinating, and I think all of your books do this. And I kind of want to speak about where we are right now. This idea that, like, society seems to be maybe a little crumbly. Faith is kind of a little faltery. We are hunting people in the streets. We are slipping into weird regressive norms. We are retreating into kind of odd corners of the internet. And these are your books. Like, this is this is like kind of encapsulating what you guys are writing about, and that's happening out there at the same time. So, in a very kind of broad way, I want to ask how we're doing and how your particular horrors in this moment feel vital, how they feel like today's the day we're telling this story, we're telling DOLLFACE. Because they're fun. I love a good slasher. I love a good demon baby. I love a good vampire. I love a good Fantasia, turpentine, swilling, angel epic. But they're intrinsically you, and nobody else could have written DOLLFACE. So, Lindy, I might put you on the up first. Forgive me,
I
but
was feeling that it was coming over
it was
here
coming. It
pretty
was
quick.
coming.
Yeah.
That was my wonderful segue. What is it about DOLLFACE that needed to be told now? Like, where, like, this story has been living within you for years, but, like, I feel as if this is the time where we want to hear this story. You know, so
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm a middle-aged woman and I'm mad as hell, right? And I think that is basically Dollface in a nutshell. I mean, it's a meta slasher on the surface, but Dollface really speaks to performative motherhood, performative womanhood, and these roles and expectations that we're just expected to carry. And I'm sick of it, and I'm mad about it, and I'm ready, to stop putting on the pretty face, the pretty smile, right, and kind of take off that mask and be a true self. And I think a lot of other women feel that same way today, probably more than ever, and are justifiably angry and are ready to do something about it, I think. And I think that's kind of Dollface in, under the covers. It's just about being unapologetically angry about all of this crap that's been piled on your shoulders, and doing something about it. And if you don't fit in with the normal crowd, maybe it's not a bad thing. So I don't know. That to me, I guess, is the story of Dollface, is just to take off the mask that you've been wearing and let your beautiful, feral, ferocious, bloody anger show. Hopefully with a little bit of 90s nostalgia thrown in, because, what's better than the late 90s heyday. But yeah, I think and that was similar for Howl, right? That came out in November. It was the same thing. It was women tired of smiling, but still ready to show our teeth, in werewolf form or otherwise. And so I think that the two books, that, Howl being my last women horror anthology, and then Dollface out tomorrow, both I kind of that they still walk that same line of just, not apologizing anymore, not saying sorry anymore, being yourself, being angry, and not really caring what anybody has to say about it.
yeah. I mean, it's such a colorful is the first word that came to my mind, because but like thinking of the kind of, like, we're dealing with surfaces and this kind of notion of, like, the veneer. You brought up masks, and I love the idea of like the Ben Cooper mask that's kind of at the focal point of the story. Like, is there any? I guess I'm we kind of think of these things happening like there's like a kind of simmering like quality, and life, culture, society reaches its boiling point, and then things rupture. There's like a break, and you have pristine lawns, white picket fences, beautiful bucolic homes. Like it's like it's the veneer of perfection, but underneath that is something that is just on the precipice of bleeding, and that's
Yeah,
telling.
I think horror's in the suburbs, right? And I think the suburbs thrive on what's that old adage? You don't know what goes on behind closed doors, right? And we're seeing in real life, those pristine, perfect, curated, supposedly safe areas being ripped right open and torn apart. And not the same ways, not the same horror ways as we're writing about, but horror ways, on their own. And I love the idea of exploring horror in the suburbs. As my next book that I'm writing is more horror in the suburbs, because there's so much to talk about here, and there's so much to, so many doors to open. I guess I'm really into doors. But it's not the well-trimmed lawn and the HOA bylaws. And I used to be an HOA president, if anybody can believe that craziness.
Oh my God.
But you gotta, well, yeah, it was a rough 2 years of Lindy, Madam President. But getting past the expectations or the assumptions or the presumptions of what goes on behind those closed doors, and opening them and letting the horror bleed right on out.
Yeah.
I love to see it.
4 more years of Lindy Ryan, please. V, I don't know if this is my first vampire book with you. Have you written vampires before?
You're muted,
You're
V.
muted. She's saying, "Oh hell yes, I've written." This is my first vampire. No, you're still muted. I'm just
You're
gonna
still muted.
This is
Sorry, because my mom's making me frijoles and all the good stuff. So you know how moms cook, Mexican moms cook, for their daughters. But so no, I wrote Immortal Pleasures, which is based on a real life Nahua woman in Mexico. She was Cortez's translator, and she died of, unfortunately, of smallpox, but she's a real character. And then the Pink Agave Motel is all about these creatures, these displaced creatures.
There you go.
And so where do you go when you are displaced? You go to a seedy motel in Philadelphia when all of the spring breakers and the golf courses, and they all come in and they raid your space. What do? You go and take up their space. And
that's a
make
horny
new life.
book.
Yeah, it is. But Maria scales back again. And, for me, vampires, they're the other. They're the thing that we can throw all of our fears, all of our anxieties, all of these things we don't like into them and say, yeah, you're the villain. You're the blood sucker. You're taking life. You don't deserve to be in society, and you shouldn't be seen. And Maria was the first book I wrote, and I couldn't get it published, so I self-published it. Fast forward, it's been brought out again. But, the big thing about this particular book is that, it's set during the Mexican peso crisis on the border in a maquiladora, which are foreign factories making goods for people all over, cheap labor. And, beyond the story and the action and the lust and all these fun things that are happening, it's about how, a lot of immigration is caused by destabilization. It's caused by things that are out of the individual's control, but also examines that otherness, that being the very thing that people want to pour all of their hate, their anxiety, their disgust into, where they can put all of the things they don't like about their society and themselves and say, you are the problem. You are the bloodsucker. And so for me, yeah, all my novels, they're sexy, they're fun, they're this, they're that. But it also is me trying to say, hey, we're here and we're not that. I know I talked about Sinners, but you know, how amazing to see vampires in that way. How amazing to see, the juke joint and to see that celebration of music and culture and the mojo bag and all of these beautiful things. And so for me, horror and vampires is a way to just take a trope and do something personal with it, but also to also unite and connect with readers from everywhere because we all feel fear, we all feel hunger, we all feel loneliness, desire. And so it's also to unify, to say, well, hey, you know, what is the other? Is the other created or is the other born?
Yeah.
And that's kind of Maria. And also, again, it's like there's Lucifer and a love triangle. And she's like, is trained to box by an ex-luchador. But again, like, lucha libre is super fun and action-packed, and there's lots of music, Western music, because the border is, borders didn't exist when a lot of these ancient creatures wandered, as you'll see in the Pink Agave Motel. They don't know what a border is and they don't need to respect it. They're like, well, you came into my
Yeah.
my territory. So what am I supposed to do?
But I
And
find it so fascinating. Forgive me for
that's
interrupting,
okay.
but
No, 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 no.
I, you mentioned that this notion of self-publishing first, and here the book has re-released through Titan.
Hmm.
And what is the time difference? Like, when did you first publish it to when?
So I wrote it, and you'll get these bits and pieces in it. Of course, I had to change things, but when Trump was first coming on the scene, so in the first factory scene, like in the very beginning, obviously it's in the 90s, so Trump wasn't running for office, but she's like, yeah, today we're making ties, cheap, ugly red ties. Um,
Long.
exactly. Just these little zingers. I gotta have the zingers. Um,
But
and I mentioned his family, like, oh, they're a group, they're all kind of snakes and they're this and they're that, and just these little zingers in there. So I wrote it and I felt compelled to do it. I couldn't do anything else.
yeah,
And then I said, "Hey, I've got this novel, I've taken it off. I'd love for it to get a polish and I think it's still relevant." But again, like, with horror and even science fiction and, genre literature in general, like there are universal themes we all feel as human beings beyond your gender, your culture, your sexuality, things we all experience and feel. And I think that is so important. And when I can connect to people with those things, it means so much to me.
yeah. I I'm just so blown away by the idea, though, that like this book came out originally, it pre-existed our kind of current cultural climate, and now it is being re-released firmly within this current cultural climate. And how does the book itself change? Like, not speaking specifically to the modifications that you did
Yeah.
internal to the book, but how does the world take this book now? Like, what is the reaction been now when versus when you released it yourself? Like, I'm curious, like, is there a difference?
Well, I mean, so like, what I love is that, that what this book did, and then kind of, it's a progression is like the people read that at the very beginning are still my readers and still grab any book that I put out, and they're super loyal. I'm super, grateful for those readers. But it's just more readership and being able to connect on a deeper level. And and look, I have no problem self-publishing. I don't knock anybody who does, but the fact is people still give more credit to traditionally published books. And
Mhm.
even though there are a lot of self-published books that are getting picked up by Big Five with huge deals and all these things, um, that's not always the case. You can't expect that when you self-publish. And so for me, it was just really important to get it out there and yeah, write books in about where I come from, my lived experience, my heritage and culture. There are 60 million in Latinos in the United States alone. How
Yeah.
many Latino writers in our genre can you name? And so I just felt this deep desire to do something different. And I'm not saying I'm the best or the this or the that. I just want to tell a story. I just want to have fun like everyone else. I just want to like talk about mythology, Aztec mythology, and the history, and kind of that experience of living near a border and having different identities. Are you Mexican? Are you American? What are you? Um, and so, yeah, all of those things will always be relevant, being someone who, a BIPOC writer or filmmaker or creative, the things you do, they're really deep. You feel them from a very young age. They're kind of imprinted on you. And so, yeah,
And then
I don't
that
know.
extends to the readers, the people who
Yeah, yeah,
pick the
yeah.
book
And
up, and then they share their kind of connection to it.
yeah.
So I don't know. It's amazing to hear that like I feel like having a a new life for this particular book. Like you could have told me you read it last year, and I'd be like, yep, that I see it. But like to know that the book has existed. Um,
Well, I'm writing the sequel and I'm including
mm.
Malinali from Immortal Pleasures in it. And then there's going to be like a horde of demons, medieval demons from the Ars Goetia.
It's the
And yeah,
Vverse. You have your own kind of extended.
that is what because
My
I
God.
grew up reading Anne Rice from a really young age and V.C. Andrews and even Stephen King, with The Dark Tower. Like I grew up reading these universes, and so I
Mhm.
can't help myself. Can't help it.
I hear you. I hear you. You know who wrote a weird, fucked up universe? Chris Panatier. I don't even know what question to ask you because frankly, like Daytide is one of those books that I feel as if the less you know, the better. But the book itself seems to be like gleefully undermining convention in order to flummox maybe a, a certain percentage of readers, but then becoming another cross section of readers' favorite, absolute favorite book. Like I feel as if like you've drawn a line in the sand by saying this book is frustrating and confounding, so you will either reject it or you will love it to the end of your days. And that's my pitch for your book. Can you explain what the hell your book is, Chris?
No, I can't. Next question.
Pivot,
Um,
pivot.
Pivot.
so it's interesting. I wrote this book a few years ago, and my agent was like, "This will sell at auction," and it did not. And we subbed it like kind of towards the tail end of the beefiest part of the pandemic, right? And it was like people were backed up and whatever, and it just sort of like slipped through. And my agent, it's funny because she's old school. She's like, didn't sell, kid. Let's move on to the next project. Like that's how she is, you know. This one,
Does she have a
she's
cigar in her mouth that she
no,
said? Like,
she has two cigars. And and
Next
she
try, kid. You're getting there,
yeah.
son.
And but this one she kept coming back to. We would be having random conversations and she's like, I just don't understand why Daytide didn't sell. And I think I can say why it didn't sell initially. And that is because I did not know how to sell it. I did not know how to talk about it. There are high concept books that are e easy to, to talk about. High concept, a firefighter who's an arsonist. That's high concept, Daytide is in that group of books that I could try to tell you for half an hour what it's about, and you'd walk away, or you'd walk away going, "I'm never fucking reading that." Um, and there are other books that are like that that I was hoping to kind of capture some of that energy. When we pitch it, we just pitch it as Black Metal Wizard of Oz. Not that it is a retelling of the Wizard of Oz, it's not. It's thematically similar to the Wizard of Oz. This is a book that is about challenging power and about the weaponization of faith. It is a angry book. We heard Lindy talk about the anger in hers, and I think we are in for several years of angry books, and I think we need those. But Daytide is truly at its core about challenging and pushing back on the weaponization of faith to mobilize people against each other. And even though I wrote it, 4 years ago now, originally, and it was relevant then, it feels even more relevant now. Um, and I think the best way to sort of communicate really what it's about, as far as what you're getting, is I've had a few reviewers and some podcasters say the two books I've heard that really resonate is they say this is like Library at Mount Char or Gideon the Ninth. And in not in the way that it is those books. It's just if you've read the Library at Mount Char, what the fuck? Like, can you even start to describe it? And yet I can't. And yet it's a top five book for me. I love that book, but it's not high concept. And Daytide is not high concept. There's a lot of layers, there's a lot going on, and it's just a book that you kind of have to. I talked about the weaponization of faith. You need to just take my word for it. So yeah.
Is it safe to say that there is a certain kind of thread of fantasy that kind of fuses itself to like you know in a multi-hyphenate world like is this horror fantasy? Is this, are we like what are the kind of genetic raw materials that are kind of like adhering themselves together within this book?
It's most accurately, most would probably call it a dark fantasy. I call it a horror fantasy because when it does go dark, it goes extremely, extremely dark.
Mhm.
So I just wanted to convey that this isn't, it's not a witch guild, doing witch things, and maybe that's a dark fantasy. There's a witch in it, but it just goes where a dark, your kind of more kind of run-of-the-mill dark fantasy might stop at a point. This continues to push in, and so I
Goes up
think
to 11.
it does. Yeah, turn it up to 11, and I just feel like this one, when it goes horror, I was like, yes, here I am, and let's push into this. Um, and it's but to give people an idea, just kind of what the setup is. This is a book about a psychological pandemic called the longing that only ends in extreme self-harm. And no one knows the cause, no one knows how it spreads, but it does spread. And there is our main character, one of our main characters is in a support group after his closest friend has chosen to end her life because of the longing. And ultimately, a priest shows up at the support group claiming to know the cure. And so that's really all we put on the cover copy, because to say more than that, it would just unspool.
Yeah, you tug on that thread
Yeah.
and the whole sweater falls apart.
Yep.
But it, do you find that kind of defiance of simple or oversimplification, like,
Hmm.
that any log line would not suffice? Like, is that a call to arms for your readers then? Like, is there something to kind of claim like a certain pride of like, I don't know what the fuck this is. Come find out for yourself.
You know, there's definitely a strain of readers that this is what they're looking for. They're not looking for the easy elevator pitch. Oh, that sounds quirky and fun. I have written those books too, but there's a different kind of set of readers that kind of have found this so far just in the run up to the release, and they're like, this is what I've been looking for. Like, literally have said, this is what I've been looking for, because it's not a simple spoon-fed thing. While I did try to write a propulsive book, it's immersive, and it's a very, very um, built out world. And it's, 520 pages, so it's not an afternoon read.
The whole can of turpentine right there.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
So, am I not getting like a cool video of you busting out of a toilet in boots?
Oh, like you did
Am I
for
not
my
going to get a cool
like you
TikTok?
like you did for Shit Show?
Am I
No, you're
not going to
not.
get a cool TikTok for this book? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, I've been a little bit more tame on this one, although I did do a small hands little reel today. So
I need to go check it
yeah,
out.
you do, because that I put that out today.
This is a social media free zone
Yes.
here. We don't talk about social media TikToks on this, but we do talk about trad wives. This is a. Did you love that segue? That was amazing.
Pretty good.
Well, I mean, we were
So
Pretty
talking
good.
about
smooth.
social media. We were talking about
That's
videos and
smooth.
Instagrams and TikToks and them trad wives. They love their videos. Which Saratoga, I have to ask, the there's like that moment before you start writing a book or a story, short story for that matter. Like there's the moment of like, am I going to commit? Like, am I going to do this? And I wanna kind of go back in the time machine and go to the moment right before you said, I'm gonna write Tradwife. Like, who were you in that moment? Like, and what was the kind of like defining trigger mechanism that said, oh yeah, this is the story that I want to write?
Yeah, it was, I know the exact moment because I have it in a screenshot. It was during a text conversation with my sister, who did not, for some reason, know what tradwives were. So I was explaining, their whole shtick to her via text, which quickly devolved into me pitching this book idea to her. And it just came to me that suddenly. And then a week later, I started writing it. I mean, it was really like I said before, I tend to be a fast drafter. I get really intense with it. I like to do my drafts in like a month. But this was the most, I don't know, intense experience I've ever had writing anything ever. It was just, it felt so fun. It felt like, I feel like it's corny to be like, oh, the story wrote me, but like it really did in this case. Like it just came out of me, and it just felt like the book I had been waiting to write for a decade, even though tradwives weren't really a thing a decade ago. It just was so, I don't know, fulfilling.
You were waiting for the social movement, the social media movement to
Yeah.
kind of like lock into place to be like, now I'm gonna hitch my ride to the Tradwives. But I mean, you say it's fun. Like, is there something like I don't want to be judgmental, but like it is a very kind of interesting sub niche genre, like this kind of mahash move, like it's a thing, and like you are investing not only your creative life into that, but like you have to spend time here now, and I if it was fun, that's amazing. What was fun about
I mean, so the reason why I think Trad Wife was so appealing to me is because for a lot of my books, I'm either writing about something or someone I genuinely don't understand, and I'm trying to understand it
it?
better, or because I'm trying to heal some kind of personal trauma and it's cathartic for me. And in the case of Tradwife, it was both of those things. It was not understanding in any capacity why somebody would be drawn to this type of value system or this type of lifestyle, and wanting to explore that and wanting to get in the head of somebody who was very bought in to the trad wife movement and why she was that way. And I thought it was also an interesting challenge because I knew that I wanted to make Camille, the main character, not a little bit more nuanced and a little bit more complex. I didn't want to write her as like a one note, like bratty trad wife who maybe doesn't really know what's going on and is super naive and is just cool, I'm a trad wife. I wanted her to have some awareness and a really intense character arc. So that was very fun to kind of play with her lifestyle and her value systems and throw a bunch of like crazy shit at her and see what she would do. And turns out she would like pretty much immediately have sex with a demon and like be all in with her creepy demon baby. And it was just very cool to watch that experience unfold for her and to get to write that from inside her head, which I thought would be more challenging than it ended up actually being because I just enjoyed it so much.
That's amazing. That idea of not like writing a character who you do not know or understand and like using the arc of the novel itself, the kind of the journey of the writing to kind of connect either intellectually, emotionally, personally, artistically, like were you surprised at any point in the writing of Tradwife of like, oh wow, this is a pleasant, like didn't think we would go in this direction, but here we are.
Yes and no, because I kind of knew going in how it was going to end. And I always say that Camille and I would not be friends and we would not get along, and I don't particularly like her, but I respect her as a character, especially at the end of the novel. And knowing that when I went into writing it made it a little bit more comfortable to kind of be in that world. Um, but it was also interesting how I was able to connect with her as a character because I just thought it would be harder than it actually ended up being, especially as like a non-binary person who is not a parent and actually has no desire of being a parent. I was a little bit like, well, how's this going to work? I'm writing a book about motherhood, like very much so about motherhood and pregnancy and everything that comes from that. And that ended up being a pleasant surprise because that horror just wrote itself because that's the stuff that I personally find scary. So I didn't have to draw a lot from that. Like there's some exaggerations with her demonic pregnancy, but the emotions there were real because they're my emotions around that kind of a life experience. So that part was surprising in a way that I was like, okay, I can actually do this. I'm not being super triggered right now. And I'm just really enjoying putting this kind of delusional influencer through a really weird pregnancy experience. And this has now devolved into something that is very unhinged and I'm enjoying it.
But there's an awakening by the end, and a whole new life is open to her, whole new world. But I'm not going to give anything away. I do want to end by asking. I was at your book launch, which was amazing, and someone in the audience asked, like, what would you want an actual trad wife to, how would their experience be in reading this? This book has now been out for over a week. There's still time, but I'm really curious. Have there been any DMs or any kind of like emails from Trad Mama 100,000, kind of reaching out to be like, I picked up your book today at the local Books a Million, and I had to say, I was quite awoken by your prose stylings, young lady. What has there been any reaction or interaction with folks of that particular ilk?
Not yet. My deep dream of having an actual trad wife read this and be like, "Hey, my husband sucks and I'm leaving him," has not come true, sadly. I think the cover is probably going to put them off a little bit. I think the neon pink pregnant woman with the giant demon hand around her pregnant belly is maybe not the thing that's going to appeal to trad wives in the wild, but I still hold on to that hope that maybe someone will stumble upon it and it'll be helpful. But I have gotten messages from people who are like, "Oh, I'm not a trad wife, but I do like the stay at home thing, or I'm like an influencer, and this or that has resonated." So those have been really lovely to hear.
There's still time. There's still time. Trad Wives in the Wild is the sequel to.
Yes.
Guys, I have exploited you for a lot of your time. Lindy, you're going on tour tomorrow. V, you are trapped in 3 feet of snow. We all have places to be, folks to see, kids to put to bed. Like, it's like turpentine to swell. There's
I
a
don't
lot.
drink it. I don't drink it, just to be clear.
I wasn't
Don't drink
calling you
turpentine.
out.
Not talking
Totally
about it.
pivoted.
Tina, prep
No,
for
Lindy.
AuthorCon.
Stop.
AuthorCon.
I this was really helpful for me because I personally feel like I could really use some community, and I will cop to using podcast interviews for therapy. I will cop to using conventions to just hang out with people. My family have no idea who I am and what I do, but you guys are my family. So I just want to say thank you very much for spending this hour and change with me. Lindy Ryan, DOLLFACE is out on February 24th from Minotaur Books. V. Castro, Maria the Wanted has been out since February 10th from Titan Books. But if you were a real fan of V, you would have had the original copy from all those years ago. So don't sleep on that, folks. Saratoga Schaefer, Tradwife, came out on February 10th from Crooked Lane Books. And Chris Panatier, DAYTIDE, comes out on February 26th, a Thursday.
A Thursday.
From
Yes.
Ramshire Publishing. We're not going to put your book out on a Tuesday. We're going a Thursday.
Yeah. It's the new Tuesday.
It's the new Tuesday.
Chris, will you be there Thursday? Or
Yes.
are you going Friday?
I'll be there Thursday.
First round on me.
Oh, God.
To celebrate.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Oh, no.
First round on me to celebrate, bro.
This is dangerous. I don't like
Dangerous.
where this is heading, guys.
It's dangerous. I've drank with V before. Whew, man.
No.
Be careful.
We're not ending on this note. Pivot. Stay away. Just say no. No enabling on this podcast.
Thank you for having us, Clay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Everybody. It's been a lovely night. Thank you for listening in. For all those of you out there, this has been Fearmongers. Have a lovely, lovely night.
Bye.